How is the content delivered to you? Was it through textbooks or videos or a mixture?
Yeah, a mixture and like pamphlets and lectures.
Who delivered the content, and did that like change over time also?
So at first we did have like designated health teachers, and then sometimes they'd be science teachers, and then in high school the health teachers were also the gym teachers.
Yeah. So I remember that in the 5th grade, they pulled us apart, like the girls and the boys, and we went to separate rooms. And that was the first time that they told us about menstruation. So they told us that, we were going to have menstruation and have our periods, but they didn't they didn't have the boys in the room because we were all like so upset and horrified by this. And I don't even think our parents knew that this was happening. And then they did show us some little animated movies, but it was more like just like kind of cartoony, where like little eggs and things were flying around. And we didn't really know, we had no understanding of that at the time, but they did show us that. Yeah, it was our 5th grade teacher. I remember Mrs. Lee did that in 5th grade. And then in middle school, we went to a special like sex education class, so there was a teacher that was like devoted to that. Grew up in a very conservative town, but so I'm kind of shocked thinking back that we even had any kind of discussion on this. But in junior high, we actually had to get a 5-pound bag of sugar, and we had to strap that onto our body. I don't know if you've heard this before, but we had to strap it on our body as though it was a baby. And the boys, everyone had to do this. If you broke your sugar, it was like bad. They didn't really talk a lot about sex, but they did, talk that this is what could happen if you did have sex. You could get pregnant.
Were you taught about like contraceptives in any form, or
Like we weren't really taught about like medications or any other forms of birth control. I was mostly just like condoms.
No, we weren't taught about contraceptives. There weren't condoms in the schools, even when I got to high school. I mean, even in the mid-'80s, I'm sure like that's when AIDS and everything started. But we didn't have a lot of information on STDs. They mentioned venereal disease, like that's what it used to be called. And that's all that they would say, that you could get a venereal disease. But they didn't go into, chlamydia and tell us what all these things are and, what you can do to protect yourself.
The boys and girls were separated in 4th or 5th grade. The boys went to a different classroom, girls were in a different classroom. There's not a lot of sex talk, but it was mainly just the changes that were going to start happening in your body with the breasts, with the cramping, with the period and all that. And then that was in elementary school. It was a PE health teacher. So with in elementary school, it was like a homeroom teacher. It wasn't a nurse that came in. It wasn't anybody that was dialed in. In high school, it was, I don't remember any videos, and she was a PE health teacher who gave us the content. It was more of STDs. It kind of glossed over the whole sex part. It's, I went to an all-girls Catholic high school. Was mainly talking about, make sure that you are in love with this person. This is what you do with your one person later on in life. It wasn't like this is going to happen and you're not a bad person if you do this.
Yeah, so in 7th grade was my health teacher, who was also a PE teacher at the time, and we definitely just read stuff out of textbooks. In high school, it was a little bit more hands-on. My health teacher, again, at the time, taught it like interactive, kind of like we were also doing skits and doing like role-playing stuff.
What topics are still disregarded in sex education, in your opinion?
Like contraceptives is a huge thing that you learn about, but a lot of times, especially in my experience, has been you're taught male condoms or birth control. And so you're taught like these very two specific types of contraceptives or emergency contraceptives. I think accessibility to options as well. I think it's really important that people know what they have access to and how to get there, how to get to a clinic if they need it, how to access resources that maybe they're not comfortable talking to people at home. I know people who have endometriosis. You don't know sometimes that that's a thing that can happen in your body when you get older. Prostate cancer, different cancers that live here. It's not so much a taboo topic of sex, but it's the body and what's happening with it.
That sex is a normal, natural part of life, and being a sexual being is a natural, normal part of life. And you know, again, my high schooling and how I learned about sex was just the very traditional, you know, man, woman, Catholic, wait till married. So I didn't wait till I was married, but the amount of guilt that I felt because I had sex before I was married, it kind of freaked me out and messed with me a little bit. I wish that I didn't feel that way, because I think I would be more comfortable in my own skin and as a sexual being if I was okay with it from, you know, sophomore year in high school. Someone say, oh my gosh, it's totally normal. Just be careful, be safe. You know, it's not, you're not going to hell. But if you are comfortable with it, then I think you can be a better partner, and you can be a better partner yourself if you're more comfortable with it, because it's a big part of life.